Alright, so you guys are in the process of completing Activity 5.5a, Introduction to CAD Modeling Skills. I'm going to quickly go through the windshield. I'm not going to reference back to the dimensions, everything, just going to quickly make the part. You can pause it, rewind it, do whatever you need to do to help you out and get your windshield model created. The two documents you will need in front of you are the dimension drawings, and then which you should have a paper copy of, and then also the activity sheet, which you have access to on Canvas, and then can scroll down to the windshield section and use the step-by-step instructions to help you create this along with this video. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Inventor, open a new part, and then I'm going to create a 2D sketch on the XY plane, and I'm going to create my sketch to extrude for my windshield. So I'm going to grab a line command. I'm going to create this bottom line, which is 3.04. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the point command, and I'm going to place 2 points approximately where the endpoints of the arcs will be. And then I'm going to grab my dimension command and dimension from that point to the endpoint. That first one's 2.55. Once again, take a look at your dimensions or dimension sheet to get these. And then from there to there is 3.01. And then I'll also dimension the heights of these points. This one is 0.64. And the height of this one is 1 inch. After I create those dimensions, I'm going to grab my arc command, endpoint of the baseline to that first point, and then the radius is 6 inches. Arc from point to point here, my radius is 0.4. And then arc from here to this other endpoint, and my radius there is 6 inches. The next thing I need to do is delete a couple dimensions. So I want to delete this 2.55 and this 1 inch. And then I'm going to grab my the tangent constraint in my constraint panel, and I want to make a tangent constraint between the first two arcs and then also between the second and third arc as well, and you'll see those tangent constraints are added. If you don't do this, your fillet will not work later after you extrude it. So once I do that, I'll finish my sketch, zoom out a bit, grab my extrude command, and I'm going to extrude that to a distance of 2.55 inches and hit enter. Next thing you should do is grab the fillet command, and we could scoot our model over here, pan over, and my radius is going to be 0.5 inches for this fillet, and I want to make sure I select this edge and this opposite edge. And you'll notice as I go to select those, all three arcs are selected at once. If they're not, it's because you didn't add your tangent constraints or you didn't snap them to the correct points when you made them. So I'll select both those and hit apply. And then the next thing I'm going to do is grab my shell command, click on that bottom face, and then make my thickness 0.07, which is from your dimension sheet. And that creates the top shell of your windshield. From there, I'm going to create a new sketch on this existing edge where I made the shell. And I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle that's approximately the size of the extrusion we need to make. From there, I'm going to right click and OK. I'm going to grab my dimension command, and from this front edge of the windshield to this rectangle, I'm going to create a dimension. And that dimension is going to be 0.68 inches. I'm going to do the same thing from the back. And the dimension isn't actually given on your sheet, but you can use a little math to get it. So I'm going to use 3.04 and subtract 2.22. And that'll get me my dimension from the back of the windshield to the rectangle. And then I'm going to create a dimension from the right-hand side to the outside of the windshield. And that dimension is going to be 0.29. And then for the last one, I'll create a dimension from the extrusion to the outside of the windshield. And we have to use a little math again to get this one, but it's going to be 2.55 minus 2.26 and hit enter. And that gives us our exact size of our rectangle extrusion that we need. From there, I'm going to use the fillet command, and I need to add a 0.15 radius fillet to all four corners of this rectangle. So I'll select all corners and add that radius. and then close out my fillet tool. And the next thing I'm going to do, and there's several ways you could do this, but this is the way I want to show you guys. I'm going to actually finish the sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and create this extrusion. Now I know we don't have all the features there yet, but we'll go back and add them later, and this is going to save us a little bit of time. So I'll grab my extrusion command, and the first thing I'm going to do is I want to, under extents, I'm going to select to next, and I'm going to hit OK. And the to next is basically going to take this and extrude it until it runs into another shape. So you'll notice that that extrusion conforms to the contour of our existing windshield that we made. And I'm going to hit OK. And then I need to extrude this out this way as well. So I'm going to create a new sketch on that face. And instead of drawing it again, the only thing I have to do is use this project geometry feature and select that shape, and it's automatically going to sketch the outline of that shape for me again. So I'll finish sketch, use the extrude command once more, and I know that this distance needs to be 0.67 based on my dimensions. From there, I'm going to use my shell command, and I know that I'm going to click on this bottom face here to remove this bottom face, and I know that my wall thickness is the same as the windshield, the top part, so it's going to be 0.07, which it's saved from my last shell, so I'll go ahead and hit the check mark. And now I've created that extrusion with the cutout in the center, and the only thing I need to place are the little extrusions around the outside of this extrusion. So I'm going to create a 2D sketch on this face here, which is the bottom of that extrusion we just made. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I have to create 6. There's one here on the top, and then 2 on each side, and then 1 on the bottom. And what's nice about this is if I create this one and then this top one on the right side and the top one on the left side, I can actually mirror those across to the other side. So I can create a line in the center and mirror them over because this is a symmetrical part. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangle command, and I'm going to create this one on the right hand side, and I know the height in this case is 0.05, and the width is 0.04. And then I'm going to grab my dimension command, and I know the dimension from the top of this to the top of the rectangle is actually going to be 0.95 minus 0.025, and that 0.025 is half the width of the rectangle because the dimension it gives us is from the top to the center point of this. So I have to subtract half the width of this from the dimension it gives me to get to, so I can dimension to the top of this rectangle. Now I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. And that's going to be 0.05 by 0.04. And then I'm going to dimension again from the top. 0.95 minus 0.025. And then I'm going to create this rectangle at the top for that extrusion as well. So my width is 0.05, depth is 0.04. And then I'm going to use the dimension command from the right hand side of the part to the right hand side of that extrusion. And I know that distance is going to be 1.28 minus half the width, which is 0.025. And then I noticed actually that I got these reversed, so I'm going to double click here, and this one should be 0.05 and this one should be 0.04. And if I zoom out, you see that I have those three there, and I can actually mirror these over. So I'm going to create a line in the center of this part. So if I snap to the center point here, I can take a line over. And I'm going to use my mirror command, and I'm going to drag and select each of those parts, each of those rectangles. Use the select mirror line. I'm going to select that center line and then hit the apply button, and it mirrors all those features over. As long as you dimension them correctly and they're in the correct spot, they should line up exactly where they need to be. I'm going to hit done. Finish sketch. Use the extrude command, and then I'm going to go in and be careful and select each of those little extrusions, and they're going the wrong way right now, but that's fine. We'll change that in a second. Zoom out a bit. And then I'm going to go to Extents in the drop down and to Next. And it automatically turns them around, and it'll run until they run into the contour of this part. So if you look up here, they all go to a different height and even at a curved angle on the end of each extrusion. And I'm going to hit OK. And the last thing we need to do, go home, and then we're going to go to the Appearance drop down, and we want to scroll up till we find Clear Green. And we're going to apply that clear green to your windshield. You'll notice it has a translucent appearance. Everything looks to be in order, and once you're to this point, your windshield is now complete.